Yeah, I got some explaining to do. All right, well, first of all, sorry if the lighting is kind of terrible. I'm trying to stay out of the sun and kind of still give you a nice shot of Tahiti. If you see me in the sun and Tahiti's behind me in the shade, you're gonna see me like drip from every orifice because it's so freaking humid out. But yeah, it is true. I have removed the coilovers from Tahiti, my 2004 Tahoe here. Now, if you're new to the channel, click the link at the top of the screen. That's going to bring you to my install video where I put these guys in. That video actually did pretty well, and a lot of people seemed interested in picking up a set of these for their truck. And yeah, as you can see, I did end up removing them. Now, first of all, it has nothing to do with the performance of the shock itself. It just came down to me having a change of heart or just changing direction in my build here. So as you can see, Tahiti looking pretty much stock, and I addressed this in another video, but pretty much what I ended up doing was visually putting in, somewhat mechanically, putting her back to totally stock. You can see I got the stock wheels back on there, stock tires. The coilovers are out, so she got the stock rake back, stock ride height in the front, stock shocks in the front, stock shocks in the back. And I even took the HD front end off and I put the stock hood back on, stock grille back on. I still have to have that stuff painted, but she's going back to stock, at least visually. And what it actually came down to was, this is my daily driver. Now, when I initially told you guys about this build, or I started this build, my plan was to make this like a TRX inspired off-road build. So big tires, give it a lot of power, make it look aggressive, stuff like that. So I changed the front end to give it the more aggressive HD front end. I put the big wheels and tires on it. I put the black Trail Boss wheels, and then I put the torsion bar keys in it. And ultimately what ended up happening was I absolutely hated it. This is my daily driver. Like, this is my go-to. I have 4 cars, 3 of which are running. And since I bought this thing, probably close to 4 years at this point, I put about 55,000 miles on it. And that's what me actively driving my other cars too. So I drive a lot, and this is my go-to. And after doing those mods, just the tires, and I was never really a lifted truck guy. So doing that build was, and I think I mentioned this in my previous video when I said I was putting back to stock, the lifted truck thing was kind of more of like a YouTube kind of series I was trying to do. But ultimately, being I do drive this thing every day and it's my own vehicle, yeah, I didn't like where it was going, so I decided to change directions and pretty much just focus on making it a sleeper build. So I still want to give it a lot of power, but I just want to keep it looking totally stock, looking clean, and just go that direction. So that brings me to the point of the coilovers. Why did the coilovers actually have to come out? Well, first of all, when I installed them, I had torsion keys in here. So that leveled the thing out, and I put the bigger tires on it, and it made it look pretty aggressive and nice. The problem with the torsion keys is when you do that, it firms up the ride quite a bit because you're just cranking those torsion bars to the point where they're so stiff, it's gonna kind of ruin the ride a bit. So by going to the Atomic Fab Coilovers, these were specifically measured to just level the truck out, like the length of the shock and everything. So by going to this over the crank torsion keys, the truck rides a lot closer to stock and a lot softer than if you just jack the torsion keys up. And that was what was really great about them and why I went to them. On top of that, being it was a performance orientated build, having the adjustability of the dampeners was like a huge plus. And when I installed these things, they were freaking incredible. Just turning them up, the thing like rode on rails, even with the big fat squishy tires. And I was really happy with them. And ultimately, what made me end up pulling them out was, for one thing, I wanted to give the factory look back. So after I kind of put everything back to stock, I wanted to bring the front down, just give it that rake back, make it look totally stock. And I could have did that. Unfortunately though, I couldn't do it with this exact setup here. So these shocks were measured specifically for a leveled application. So the shock range of motion was in a certain place, so the shock doesn't bottom out or, you know, get overextended or anything. So I would have had to either go to a shorter shock or it had to go to a different mounting bracket after speaking to Rich over at Atomic Fab and Performance. Now, ultimately, I decided just to pull them out and not go that route because I haven't really used the adjustability of these things since I installed them. As a matter of fact, because I drive this thing every day, I put them on full soft. And after making the video and kind of having fun for a few days, just kind of romping on it, I just put them back to soft and I left them there. I didn't touch them at all to never take them to a track or anything. And as I'm filming this yesterday, they just announced Atco Dragway is going to be shutting down. So that's one less drag strip to go to. So this thing is definitely not going to see any track time. I didn't use the adjustability of the coilovers, so I didn't really see a reason to keep them in there, especially since I could kind of hold on to these and probably utilize them in another build that'll make more use out of them. The other reason being, I'm planning on going a different route with this suspension-wise. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this more I'm going away from the performance-oriented thing. I'm kind of keeping this like a daily driver, luxury, kind of cushy cruiser that just has a lot of power in a straight line. So I'm kind of messing around or looking into messing around with maybe air suspension or something. So for me to go that route, I mean, at this point, Tahiti is pretty much like a test mule for the channel. I'm just trying all kinds of different things on her, seeing what I like best. Now, with all that being said, if you are still looking into getting a set of these, who are they actually for? Now, if you're planning on leveling your vehicle and you do want to maintain a closer to stock ride quality, not just have total, like, you know, just hard, firm, cranked up torsion bar ride, these I definitely recommend. If you're planning on lifting your vehicle, even more than leveling, totally recommend them. It's just gonna completely just fix the ride and not make it so harsh. If you're planning on lowering the vehicle, obviously you have to go to a coilover. If you're planning on keeping your ride totally stock, and it's just a daily driver like me, and you're just looking online, maybe, hey, I'll put the coilovers in, people say they ride a lot better than torsion bars, you're not planning on doing anything else with it, but just driving it to work, I would not recommend them. Solely because if you're after just a daily driver, comfortable ride, you don't really care the way it handles, these, yeah, they're gonna improve the handling. However, in my opinion, the torsion bars still ride softer. So these make the thing ride better as far as control goes, and hell, as far as braking, when I put the torsion bars back in this thing, the first thing I noticed is the brakes work a lot harder with the torsion bar than these things. I guess it's just the way the body roll dips when you hit the brakes, I'm not sure. But the brakes still work great, but you have to definitely push into the pedal a lot more than you did with these guys installed. So yeah, if you're just after that cushy stock ride, you can't beat the factory setup. It was fine-tuned specifically for soccer moms and daily driving. So no matter what you put in there, maybe aside from like air suspension like I'm looking into, you're not gonna be able to beat the torsion bars as far as a daily driver, just commuter car kind of comfort aspect. But yeah, I'm gonna link Atomic Fabrication and Performance website down below if you do want to check these guys out. Keep in mind, you do need to contact Rich over there and give him your measurements for these shocks. So every application is different. There isn't just a one set coilover for every build. If you're planning on jacking this thing up 6 inches, you need a specific shock length and coil. If you're planning on dropping it, obviously you're gonna need a specific length. If you're planning on just leveling it, you're gonna need a specific length. So definitely give him a call or shoot him an email and he can direct you in the direction for what you're gonna need for your build. However, for now, Tahiti is going to be remaining kind of stockish right now. Actually, let me give you a little quick walk around. I'll show you exactly what I did so far. You can tell I'm serious about this. Like, I even went and put the stock, crusty, yellow, hazy headlights back in. I am gonna restore them and, you know, sand them down and buff them. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I'm serious about making this thing look totally stock. And as you can see, she got that rake back in her. After putting the torsion bars in, I also put the factory upper control arms back in. So I do have the tubular ones with the poly bushings and the relocated ball joint, like the angle correction that I'm also gonna be holding on to. And yeah, back shocks too. I pulled out the adjustable shocks and just put some stock AC Delcos in there. Got the stock taillights back in. I am planning on putting all the stock Z71 badges on this thing. And then eventually we're gonna do a trans upgrade and we're gonna boost it with a turbo.